Oftentimes, the undocumented immigrants in the country are perceived as moochers or parasites or leeches on the system. But a new study basically busts that myth up, and it gives us an interesting comparison here that we could talk about. So journalist Taylor Link explains, undocumented immigrants in the U.S. pay more than $11 billion a year in state and local taxes, according to a new study by the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. In 42 states, undocumented immigrants pay in taxes a higher share of their income than do the wealthiest 1% in their respective states. A common misconception is that undocumented immigrants avoid paying taxes. In fact, undocumented individuals pay sales and excise taxes, property taxes, and in some instances, personal income taxes. The study determined that at least 50% of undocumented households currently file income tax returns through the use of individual tax identification numbers, and many have taxes automatically deducted from their paychecks. In a state like Alabama, the study found the effective tax rate for undocumented individuals was 7.2%. 3 percentage points higher than the 3.8% effective tax rate the wealthiest 1% pay in that state. Alabama is in no way alone in this development. 42 states currently tax undocumented people more than their wealthiest denizens. What the fuck? See, this is what's called a regressive tax system, when you take poor people and middle-class people and make them pay a higher effective rate than rich people. Now, by the way, there's a dirty trick that conservative Republicans use on this, and even some libertarians, where they'll talk about the nominal rate and how the nominal tax rate for the rich is so much higher than the nominal rate for middle-class people or poor people. Here's the problem. The nominal rate is irrelevant. The effective rate is what they actually pay. So after you take your deductions and after you use all of your shitty loopholes, at the end of the day, they end up paying way less in taxes than what the nominal rate shows. And again, when you talk about poor people, and in this case, undocumented immigrants, they don't have a team of lawyers looking for all the loopholes and deductions that they could take. So the effective rate that many people who are poor, who are undocumented immigrants, pay in taxes is higher than the effective rate of the top 1%. In what world does that make sense? It doesn't make any sense. Every modern nation has what's called a progressive tax system, which means, yes, you tax poor people. You're supposed to tax poor people, at least on paper, at a lower rate than rich people. But when you have all this trickery and all these loopholes in the system to make it so that the rich don't have to pay as much, in fact, they pay less as a percentage than poor people, well, that's just a prime piece of evidence. That's just proof that the system is so corrupt and that corporations and billionaires have bought those loopholes to allow them to get away with basically anything. I mean, we obviously have a two-tier justice system. If we didn't, then fucking hundreds of people, if not thousands of people on Wall Street would be in jail right now, but they're not. Goldman Sachs committed fraud. It was their fucking business model, man. And they got away with it. So this is why people are mad. You know, it's amazing that when you listen to Fox News or some people on the right, they talk about class warfare, and in their mind, class warfare is the rich being taxed a fair amount. No, the class warfare is already happening, and it's being waged by the rich on the middle class and the poor. And the oldest trick in the book is to make middle class people and poor people fight amongst themselves as you run out the back door with all the money as a rich person. So, or you get people to fight over race, for example, or other things. Like, okay, get the poor white people and the middle-class white people to hate the poor black people and the middle-class black people. Let them fight, and you run out the back door with all the money, using all the loopholes and all the deductions, and they pay a higher effective tax rate, and they blame one another. They blame undocumented immigrants. They blame whoever. Just fight amongst each other and blame the other one, scapegoat the other one, when the rich are fucking all of you. By the way, you know, we've discussed this fact before, but I feel like it should be brought up as much as possible because it really is mind-blowing and people don't talk about it enough. The richest 6 people in the world. Wait, is it 6 or 8? Not that it really matters and not that it's that much of a difference. But we'll go with 8 because I think it's actually 8. The richest 8 people in the world have more wealth than the bottom 50% of the world. Richest 8 people, more than 3.6 billion people combined. Guys, I got news for you. They didn't just work harder, those people. It's impossible to work that much harder than another person. The system is not a meritocracy. The system is painfully and obviously rigged. So there is no equal opportunity. By the way, I'm not arguing for equality of outcome, and very few people are. We're arguing for equal opportunity. We're arguing you give people health care and an education and daycare and paid vacation time and just give them a shot to do well. But no, we have a rigged system where today, as we learned from this study, you have many people in the top 1% paying a lower rate in taxes than undocumented immigrants, when it's undocumented immigrants who are maligned and smeared as moochers and parasites and leeches on the system. The reality is, oftentimes, the top 1% are the leeches and the parasites and the moochers on the system. Because how many CEOs out there and how many owners out there just let their money make money? Mitt Romney sat his Mormon ass on a couch for a year and made $14 million and paid a 14% tax rate, federal tax rate, when there's construction workers making $80,000 and paying a 25% tax rate. How does it make sense that Mitt Romney gets to pay a lower tax rate? They go, oh, well, it's the capital gains tax. And why not chain the capital gains tax to the income tax and make it the same? Because there are people who all they have is their investments make money. Their money makes money and they do nothing. Why shouldn't those people, if they make $100,000, pay the same in taxes as somebody who worked and made $100,000? If anything, they should pay more because they didn't actually work for it. So the person who busts their ass has to pay more in taxes? That's fucking nuts. That's crazy. It's crazy to have undocumented immigrants, who the overwhelming majority of them are working really hard and just trying to get by and take care of their families. You're going to have them pay a higher effective tax rate than the top 1%? I mean, what a joke this is, man. It's always pathetic when people get angry at and make arguments against the poorest people with the least amount of power in a society, as if they're the problem. As if, they're the issue and they're the source of everything that's going wrong in your life. Maybe you want to look higher up on that economic ladder and you want to see how they've rigged the system in their favor and it ends up screwing you. Maybe those are the people we should direct our ire towards.